Hello. Staying a little too high up. Ugh. What's up? How's everybody? Hello, hello, hello. First of all, how are you liking the Vampire Diaries? Y'all, it's just a teen drama CW show. Was it the first one of its kind? I love it though. I'm hooked. The problem is because I'm watching with America, I can't just like be on season 4 already. But goddamn, the show it's a CW teen drama. Roblox sponsor still up? Yeah, the sponsor goes for the next 8 days. We're not Robloxing today, but it stays up for 8 days. Far from it. Who are your faves? I think all the characters are unlikable. I do like what's her name? The protagonist. I think she's a very likable protagonist. And she's like pretty logical and makes decent decisions. I think Stefan and Damon suck. Stefan doesn't suck. He's just kind of boring. And someone on Twitter spoiled that he committed genocide, so I'm kind of out on him. Yeah, Elena's pretty good. I think Elena's my favorite character, which is good. Thanks for the raid. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I will say Jeremy's the worst character of all time, closely followed behind by Vicky and everyone in that side plot. A lot to not like, I must say. You learn to love Damon and Caroline. He's so far beyond ever redeemable. Look, Damon is a beneficiary of there being 23 episodes a season, so eventually you forget about all the fucked up shit he probably does. But goddamn, he's a horrible person, and I'm sure so is Stefan. But these 23 episode seasons, like, I will say, like, one of the things that frustrates me the most about the show is nothing has lasting consequences, except for what's her name, Catherine. Thank you, Card Girl, for the tier 1. Appreciate you. Nothing has lasting consequences. Like, Stefan locks up Damon, starves him to death or near death, poisons him, and the next episode they're back where they were. I was expecting, oh my god, when Damon escapes, he's gonna really get up to some shit. No, they're just chilling. Your mic is low. I'll raise it a little bit. But anyways, how are you guys? Another day on Big Brother Twitter. Okay. Can I get a show of hands? Who thinks Blue Sky is real? Who's all in on Blue Sky? I'm going to start using it daily. It's going to be my Twitter substitute. All in, me. Okay. I'm there for it. Sure. I'm phasing it in. Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, not enough Nazi propaganda and unsolicited porn. Not enough porn bots. I'm beginning to think that I'm undesirable. On Blue Sky, no one's, asking me for my number or anything. Thank you, Balloon Horses, for the 9 months. But I'm still willing to give it a chance, for sure. Oh my god. So America and I went out to dinner a couple nights ago. And I was looking up places. I don't really know places in Nashville. We're trying to find new restaurants. And we landed on this, like, cool seafood Mediterranean place. The menu looked beautiful. It looked like a cute place on the pictures they gave. We show up, and it's a hotel restaurant. And America's pissed. And I'm like, shit. Obviously, I wouldn't have come here if it was a hotel restaurant. But we're already here. Let's eat. She's like, oh, okay, fine. So we go. And I shit you not, it is the best food that we've ever had. Like, the beef tartare is delicious. And there's this, like, ridiculous, like, olive butter. And I get this crazy cavatelli with, like, squid ink pasta and scallops. And America has this lobster risotto. And it's legit the best food you've ever had. And I'm just looking at her the whole time trying to pretend to be annoyed about the restaurant when I know she has not had a better meal in the past 5 years. Then by the second drink, she was like, okay, this place is good. I work at a hotel. I'm insulted. I have no problem with hotel restaurants, but I guess they're It's like the lighting. It's a lot more hotel-y than it is like, ooh, what a nice vibe. But anyways, how are you guys? We could just we could start talking about the bullshit. So I'm using Kala's like feed, just because it's kind of the best summation of everything. And I will say, like, I think there's a lot of stories going on here and a lot of different things to consider about the story. I think the main point is number one, it's pathetic. That's like the main point. It's just pathetic. It's like loser behavior because proximity to a reality star does not make you any better than any other person. If anything, it's probably an indicator that you're worse, which obviously I'm guilty of. But that's the one thing. Did you know this woman? No, I don't think she worked my season, or I didn't engage with her individually. But that's the point one. It's, you know, using that as like your claim to fame is pathetic and it's lame. A lot of people are dogpiling on her, which is very fair. This is not like a, hey y'all, let her breathe. Like, no, this is an insane thing she did. And then the other element of it is there's not just this one individual, there's this group of individuals who are like preying on that information and celebrating it and being weird. And it kind of led me to my tweet, which I rewrote a couple times. I released it once, then deleted it. So some people saw the 3-second version. But I tweeted this. 1 second. Just an FYI, being gross and violative is not going to make your faves like you. You're weird, and they know it, and so does the rest of the world. Using your position of power and access to feed into it is criminal behavior. I'm once again begging for some of y'all to be normal or disappear. So this first couple sentences, I'm actually directing at the fans who are like into it, and then obviously this is about the specific woman. I think I can speak about this subject from a different perspective than most people. I was not personally involved, of course, right? So Rubina and Tucker could speak for themselves in that regard. But obviously, coming out of BB25, I was in the showmans, right? That had a lot of the showmantic fans after the season. And some of those fans were very weird. If you're in this chat, you're probably not that person, right? So when I say showmans fans, I've hoped throughout the time I left the house, I've weeded out most of the insane people. And you guys know who've been in this community for a while, there's been quite a few insane people. Like, quite a few insane people. Now, all I can say is y'all are lucky, y'all being the weirdos, that Tucker and Rubina are clearly not as chronically online as me in America. Because, and this goes to maybe some of you in the chat, America and I, in our free time, talk a lot about you all, which shouldn't make you feel special. Like, there's people who are like, oh, they're weird. They're cool. Like, if Tucker and Rubina were active enough online to, like, see what you all were saying, their opinion of you would be very different. They wouldn't pop in and say hi in the group chat. You know what I mean? Thank you, Nicholas, for the 5 months. I appreciate you. But me and America, of course, are chronically online. So we do have a lot of conversations about different people in our community. It's like it's a part of our lives. And weird people we're aware of. We know you're weird, and we do not like you because you make us feel uncomfortable. And Tucker and Rubina, I think, are having their first kind of example of like, oh, there's some weird-ass people out there. And I really do empathize with them because it's weird. It's people like masquerading that they're rooting for you, but they're not actually rooting for you. They're kind of living vicariously through you. And because Big Brother is this experiment with live feeds, you could see 24/7 or honestly like 21/7 with how they've been cutting the feeds recently. You feel attached and entitled to someone's relationship, then you're cut off cold turkey by the time they exit the house and you get all this new content, especially in the case of Tucker and Rubina, where Tucker was pre-jury, so there was a big cutoff period even before. you still feel like you are entitled to their relationship, their showmance, both of their lives, in a way that you're not. But there's nothing really new here. There's nothing inventive about fans being parasocial and wanting to participate in someone else's relationship. That's been happening forever. I'm sure that happened with Boston, Rob, and Amber, after All Stars. Obviously, as social media evolved, it becomes a little bit more intense. The added part of this story that makes it particularly weird is the element of production being somewhat involved. And I want to flash up Quinn's tweet because you guys know I do rag on production quite a bit for the decisions they make, for what they choose to highlight, for the twists. There's a lot of stuff to criticize, and I'll continue doing that. That's why when people say, Cory, do you want to be on All Stars? I'm like, not based on my actions. I'll tell you that much. But Quinn says, we get so little privacy to see one of the protected boundaries get bypassed. For a stand group chat is disappointing and very violating. Trust was broken and my friends were hurt as a result. What was shared wasn't tea or fun drama. It was inappropriate abuse of power. And then this tweet, that woman did not interact with any of us during the show. Interactions do not reflect the rest of the crew at all. And this is true. I met a tremendous amount of production of people as high up as Allison Grodner, people as low down as like PAs who were escorting me to the airport. Everyone was great. Like, truly. And look, I know y'all have opinions about Allison Grodner. Could not have been nicer to me throughout the entire process. Same with Rich, Meehan, with all of the different like high-level producers. Do I agree with every decision they make throughout the show and what makes the air and what is hidden? Of course not. Like we've talked about that, but that's not the point. Now, of course, after this information comes out, I would assume this woman is not going to be working on Big Brother or very likely any Paramount production ever again. I think you all have to understand, like, when you're working at that level of reality TV, you are unbelievably, indescribably dispensable. Or disposable is the word I'm looking for. The smallest slip up and you're gone. A slip up like this, you're gone and probably blacklisted from the industry. So I wouldn't worry about that aspect of it. Like, I'm not going to be like leading the force saying, production, you guys have to take... It's been taken care of. I don't know that. I know it will be. It's done. Also, the way that these PAs, as far as I understand, work, it's not like a year-to-year thing. It is literally like you're contracted for 2 months, and then they don't hear from you until applications open next year. So let me just get that out of the way. Like that part of it, how do you think producer even got her job? Because they don't... Like when you're applying for a job of this nature, there's only so much psychological evaluation that could be done. I think really the problem is once there became these rumblings of like people in the group chat and there's someone in production leaking videos and pictures, at that point they should have been cut off immediately. But I don't know exactly how the timeline worked out. It seems like she was there till the end of the season, even though there were rumblings of this thing happening earlier. She worked on 24, 25, and 26. I believe that, but I didn't interact with her. She took producer of Big Brother out of her Insta bio. Well, that makes sense. They hired month to month. Exactly, yeah. So she's done. Like I feel confident about that much just based on what I know about the industry. She was not Skippy and a handler. That's not a thing. No. She deactivated her Insta. I think she's going to have legitimate real-world consequences. Here's the problem with like situations like this. You're kind of put in a weird bind where you want to hold this person accountable, and companies are not particularly forgiving, of course. But if you have a big lawsuit, that becomes more of a story. So I think the ultimate goal when it comes to like the production side of things, and this is not like a diss on CBS, like this is just how business works, they're just going to try to sweep it under the rug, and that'll be it. That's my prediction on what would happen. I think if Tucker and Rubina wanted to pursue something, they'd be well within their rights, and who knows. And let me add this. I do think in general, like production hanging out with players is weird. I think it could be normal in certain circumstances. Like if you're at an event together that's based on reality TV and you have a chat, like, it could be very fun. Like, it's a weird shared experience. There's a lot to talk about. But I don't think you should be, like, great friends with production. Obviously, it's a conflict of interest, and it's weird, right? There's a strange power dynamic that just innately exists in that capacity. And I feel like the BB26 people, it feels like production really likes these people, and there's been a little bit more of that going on than I've seen in past seasons. Which is not that surprising, because Big Brother people are just people, and you do interact with these players a lot, so it's somewhat natural, but I think it is inappropriate. To the extent that she was close to Tucker and Rubina, I mean, it fucking goes without saying, is insane. Insane. Here's the thing that the screenshot I saw that was like, oh shit. So it said, sequester is so fun for me, not for the cast. I was in charge of making sure they had everything ready for move-in, keeping them comfy for days. One of the fun things was I got to come up with activities for them. One of the days we did a sip and paint night. I got wine and White Claws and canvases to paint. They love that. We honestly do a lot of that I can't talk about, but okay. So I know exactly what role she is, because I know these people. You know what I mean? This is a thing that happened on our season too. They came over with one White Claw or a little bottle of wine, and they said, which one do you want? And then they give us a little thing to paint. So they're definitely a member of production. Like, this is not a thing you would know otherwise. And basically, as far as I understand, the extent to their interaction is like, they knock on your door and they ask you for your meal orders for the day. You order like 3 meals at a time, usually, like all your meals. And then they periodically like check in on you for one reason or another, if they want to pick up paperwork or they want to see you try on an outfit because they want to figure out what your move-in outfit's going to be, or if you want like a DVD from their like binder, you can go, I want to get 2.5 Men season 2 disc 3, and then they bring it down and you have a 2-second chat with them. I think oftentimes players like really value those connections because you don't get to talk to anyone else in sequester. So literally that like one moment of opening the hotel door and talking to this person is the only interaction you get. So I do think like some people who are maybe more dependent on human interaction have more of a relationship with these people than I did, but I was very much like, hey, thank you, I appreciate it, close the door. Thanks, Glitter. A lot of people were saying, like, Cory, how do you see all this stuff? Like, I just opened Twitter. Like, I really don't look for it. I'm not hashtag BB26ing. But they were just weird, like this. Like, the cover slipped off one night. Letting this out unless she names him because fuck that guy. Night was insane. Like, it's not just releasing a video, releasing a picture. It's sharing a lot of details about stuff people are not supposed to know about. And it's very clear that the objective of this person is to gain, like, clout, essentially. But the problem is you're not even gaining generalized clout. You're gaining, like, a very limited amount of clout in, like, this, I don't even know what I would call it, like, a weirdly parasocial stan group chat. And I think, ultimately, the reason why she'd be doing this is because she's a stan. I think a lot of you guys can relate, not to anything about her, but like, I think like she's a stan who happens to work for production, right? Now, I'd hope if a lot of you were in production, that would change your behavior and interaction with the community, but I think that's the way you have to contextualize this. Also, she was on 25. Clearly, she wasn't in AmeriCorps, I'll tell you that much. I don't think she was in the trenches with any of y'all. So I guess she just felt connected to Tubina for some reason. Also, there's, again, this is not just her. She's the one who's in the most strong by far. But obviously there's a lot of people like cheering on the release of a video or these explicit details about people. And that is something that I think you can only really gain perspective on by being on the show. Because I think all of you, I would hope, understand that you're not just watching characters, you're not watching players, you're watching people. And I think that should be even more true for Big Brother than it is for any other show. When you're watching Survivor, there's a guy like Andy on this season, who is obviously a massive character, and he's being edited as such. And you have to understand that is a human being, obviously, who's a normal person, but I think it's harder to think of them that way because you only get a very edited version of who they are. On Big Brother, especially if you're like deep in the live feed trenches, you're on Twitter, you should have a better sense than any other show. Okay, this actually is a very real normal person. Now, let's just play out a very simple scenario. You are you're cheering on someone's relationship in real life, and then you try to sneak in and get details and videos and pictures of those people that you're not supposed to have. Well, that is... what's the exact word for it? What's the crime? Any future lawyers there? What would that crime be? Stalking? Stalking's definitely one word for it. Harassment? You know, pick your favorite. Invasion of privacy? Hey, Cory, riddle me this. You're in the DR and forgot what happened specifically at the veto or HOH. Would they recap you or allow you to rewatch it? No, you definitely don't get to rewatch it, but if it's something innocuous enough, they might like be like, hey, it was something like this. Or if they want to fix your phrasing, but no. So, revenge porn, I don't know the specific. I feel like revenge porn varies on the state, like what the deal is with that, but it's bad is the point. It's bad. Literal lawyer over here. I just wrote my personal statement. It's about the Humiliverse and me losing a testicle. I might read it to you in a couple of days. That would obviously be inappropriate. Now, I think there's this idea that because we're on Big Brother, because we sign all these papers, because we're aware that the live feeds are always going to be on, anything that gets shown on those live feeds or is released by one way or another, we are responsible for. Now, I disagree with that, but it does make a lot of logical sense. You know you're going onto the show. You know the cameras are going to be on you. Why are you acting like that? Well, here's part one. America and I are extremely privileged going onto Big Brother in the sense of we understand what the live feed experience is. We understand the reality of being on Big Brother live feeds. Who on my season could say they understood the reality of being on the live feeds? There were two people, and it was me and America. Maybe Izzy. On Big Brother 26, outside of Quinn, outside of Joseph, no one in that house understood what live feeds meant. They didn't. And you could tell by the way that they were talking about the live feeds on the feeds. The idea that it's just you and me cuddling in a bed, the camera's going to be on me, people are actually sitting there watching, typing in these little communities, have little group chats about us, that doesn't cross your mind. And it's so crazy to us because we've been in the Big Brother trenches for so long. But for normal people, it's insane that people would actually be doing that. I think people more consider it as like, I'm checking my email. Let me check what the feeds are on. Okay, they're not talking about anything. Close it. No, people sit there and tweet about it and text about it, have their group chats 24/7. Izzy had never watched feeds. No, but she was deep enough in the reality world that I would be surprised if she didn't have a better sense of like, if she's on Survivor Twitter, she's seen Big Brother stuff. That's why she was a maybe. Does production not explain the feeds in depth before going in? If you read the fine print, everything's there. You are told that the feeds are always on and you have to be cognizant. They actively tell you when the feeds are not on. But I think it's very difficult, bordering on impossible, to fully explain the big picture of what it means. And I don't think production fully understands it either. Thanks, Anonymous, for gifting America. So, when you're saying Tucker and Rubina should know that anything they do could get out, I mean, they know they're on the feeds, but that's not always clear what that means. It's very simple. Like, just because you sign something doesn't mean you fully understand the scope of it. Again, the lawyer's coming out. So just miss me with that, like, victim blaming bullshit. Now, of course, this stuff wasn't even released on the feeds. It wasn't. It was hidden from the feeds, and then someone recorded like the desktop and then uploaded it. Now, that is its own thing. People who try to use the defense of like, oh, well, you're on the feeds 24/7. It's like, well, sometimes you do things that you know are not going to be on the feeds. So when they get out one way or another, it's, that is as much bigger of a violation of your privacy than just you doing something on the feeds and that being, shown. A full-ass violation of her contract. Of her contract, for sure. The problem is, as a Big Brother player, you kind of sign away your firstborn, everything. Didn't someone hack the BB21 feeds? That was for the greater good. That's different. That's an exception. The exception does not prove the rule. So I think that's something that's just very important to understand. Just because we know that the live feeds exist does not mean that they know what live feeds actually are and the consequences of being on the live feeds. And that is one benefit of casting fans. Well, part of why I think fans are not good is because you're so aware of the live feeds that it changes your behavior and you act unnaturally, which is why people have a problem with that. But I'd prefer that to people who don't know what they're getting into and are saying things that they wouldn't have said otherwise, Can they show the act if no nudity is showing? They can show whatever they want. But it's Big Brother's not trying to show porn. To show graphic sex. That was almost the thing in our house. Me and America were being subtle in whatever way. How subtle were we actually being? Trying to be a little bit more subtle. Whereas, other people in the house were fuck it. And there was actually more content about me and America because they had to shut off the cameras fully when, Jared and Blue were doing whatever. So it's actually a weird, kind of logic there. Lex, I think you're really not taking up the right opinion here. I don't think you're understanding. You're basically, I'm saying some people are unaware and uneducated of the scope of the live feeds, and you're saying, well, there's live feeds, so shut up. It's yes, we just made that distinction. We know there's live feeds. If Tucker and Urbina were just doing whatever under the covers, and that was on the feeds, and people were annoyed about it, and they were upset about it, you could say, well, what did you expect? That's not what happened. At all. So, it's not what's happening. No, I know, Army, because it was a different time. We're talking about the present. But that is their fault. I am going to time you out, and I was really close to banning you. Very, very close. Could this be criminal dissemination of obscene material? I mean, again, the problem would be who's suing who. You could probably do a civil suit, Tucker and Urbina against this person. But Tucker and Urbina suing CBS. CBS would probably just settle because they wouldn't want a controversy out of it. But, our contracts are so extensive. It's I feel like it'd be tough to find something you can sue CBS over. Just a lot of weirdness. There's also this. This is my favorite job every year. I wonder which couple production likes more. I don't know about other departments, but our person is not even a question. We have a photo of them on our wall. So a couple things. The implication that there's people in CBS production who are rooting for certain house guests. First of all, duh. Of course. They're all human beings. They're all rooting for certain people. That's one part of it. I think the allegations of, clearly it's rigged for Tucker because of it, I think that's silly. These people, at least her role, is not of any importance at all, decision-making wise. This is not some conspiracy that is trying to help Tucker or a Cameron from last season win the show. I don't believe that. Does production like certain people more than others? Of course. We all know that. We've seen that over the years. But I don't think that is the big part of the story. There's all these people in production who are willing Tucker to win. Yeah, he tried to quit, clearly. But People have tried to quit in the past 10 seasons, and every time production talks them out of it. Unless production is actively trying to get that person out of the house, i.e. Paloma. Megan's kind of a weird case. Yeah, exactly, Nino. I agree. Her posting about how she wanted Joseph to be voted on the block was also wild. Of course. I want you to understand, she's like, I don't know her official role, but I do know the people who were like knocking on our doors, delivering us food, delivering us alcohol, were not high level employees. They were like contracted workers who are like trying to push together odd jobs. Like, these are not decision makers. People developing Zombie Week. Who is production telling not to quit on your season? Who do you think, Liam? But just because Suri was talking about quitting all the time, if it was anyone, they would try to talk them out of quitting, because quitting doesn't make for a good show. It doesn't. So it's not favoritism on Suri. If America was desperately trying to quit, they would not let America quit. General. So that's the point on that. Her job is also to watch feeds on the night crew. I can't speculate as to exactly what her responsibilities were. Like, I know she said that. I don't know the distinctions between these different jobs. There's a story team, there's a production team, there's comp team, there's editing, like, you know. But I don't believe she's Skippy. Absolutely not. I don't, no. Do they allow such lower level employees such access to videos and twists that she was allowed to? Okay, no, I would imagine. But when you're all working in the same environment, I would not be surprised if people talk. That would be my suspicion. But that's just speculation, nothing beyond that. Newbie, whatever the video was, like, so there's obviously the really gross, explicit stuff that was going on that she was talking about and sending videos about. Like, that stuff is almost in its own category of disgustingness. Like, that is just violating. It's weird. It's gross. I don't even know what else to say about that. Then there's the just providing information about what's going on in the game, which is pathetic. Trying to get clout from this group of people is insane. And then, of course, because it's Twitter, everyone in that group chat's like lying about what was actually there, trying to protect their Twitter account with 367 followers. It's all pathetic. And there were AmeriCorey group chats that were pathetic. There were AmeriCorey Discords that were like, it is not a Tubina thing. I hate more than anything when people take a fan base and then judge the people they're fans of as a result of that fan base. And that's not like a reflection. Like, I think a lot of the AmeriCorey people are great. I think we built a really cool community over the past year and a half. Like, a remarkably strong community where so many people are still here and it's the same names, and I really value that. But making this like a, oh my God, I've been preying on Tubina's downfall for... Stop. Tucker and Urbina are two people who went on a show and fell in love. And people are fans of them. The connection between the two is nothing. Especially when you know Tucker and Urbina are not heading up a Tubina Discord. There's not much engagement happening between these groups in terms of, like, they're probably as checked out of the online community as anybody. They're not chronically online like me in America. Thank you, Coco, for the 2 months. Or for the 9 months, rather. Thank you. I hate when people play double agent in fan bases. I hate when people talk about fan bases like they matter. Spies who try to go into one group chat to get information to spill to the other ones, and I'm getting different reports. Is this the same person? Is this a different person? It's like, y'all, if you ever find yourself in any situation like that, you're in way too deep. Way too deep. I trust Quinn's judgment. Look, Quinn is so cognizant of like parasocial relationships and understanding of the online space, and I've had talks to them about like I trust Quinn's judgment. So, do you guys feel you both still have to deal with a lot of weirdness? Yeah. Yeah, I have a call with a assistant district attorney tomorrow. There's weirdness. It's toned down though. It's less than there used to be. I wish it was Discord for Big Brother rather than having to join a Survivor server that has BB channels. Can I say something crazy? And this is where I lose all the support of the people in chat. I think the least toxic place, and it's still toxic, but the least toxic place for Big Brother fandom is probably Reddit. Just looking at the discourse happen, it's Reddit, so there's kind of like an anti-woman thing going on that exists on Reddit. Reddit clears Twitter so clearly. I'm sorry. It is not competitive. And the reason is very simple. It's fucking moderated. That's because they moderate everything away. Yes. That is not like invalidating. That is just why it's better. So that is the answer. The answer is blue sky. Y'all. Going on blue sky is great. Fuck Elon Musk. The Big Brother community is still going to be the Big Brother community, and nothing's going to change. If there's like better features that allow you to just block people and, you know, not see people on your feeds and build your little group, then sure. But like migrating platforms does not change the underlying issue of Big Brother's a show that fosters crazy parasocial relationships, and the fan base is insanely toxic. And that's kind of why we love the show. Because it's you root on your faves so hard, you root against people so hard, and you get into it in a way that you can't on like The Amazing Race or Survivor or Drag Race or any of these. But the consequences are often felt by the players. And I think this is one of those moments where like, okay, the players are facing the consequences of insane fan behavior. And I say fan behavior because that person in production was a fan. Relevant Moose, I'm about to pull up your Reddit post before we, after I finish this discussion, because that was the second part of stream today. Excellent work. I literally have the tab open. Is there something you would have said different during your Julie interview? I don't know what you're referencing. You might have said something earlier. There were like 3 annoying blue stands on BB25 Reddit. Just let people like who they like. If they're being mean about it. Like, I will say, there, in regards to what I was talking about, where like America and I talk about the people in our community, it is noted when I see people who are fans of me in America be really mean about other house guests. And there's like a sliding scale of, you know, is this house guest Mike Boogie or you know, or Aaron Grease? Like, I don't care about that. But generally, like, because players are often judged as a result of their fan base, any person who really loves and supports me and then gets online and is like, Blue is such a fucking bitch, what a horrible person, you're not a fan of mine. Are Blue and I best friends? Of course not. You guys know that. I like Blue. I have no beef with Blue. We DM about Pokemon every now and then. But it's just not, like, it's good. We're fine. No Twitch collab? Not necessarily. Some people are so vile towards house guests. Like, look. Okay. Obviously, there's certain house guests who said some very vile things about other people. It's not your responsibility to fight fire with fire. You're allowed to, of course, but I'm allowed to judge you for it. You know what I mean? You can hold people accountable, sure, but I do think when people say hold people accountable, oftentimes it's a mirage for what they really mean, which is be cruel online. Do you know what I mean? Just make sure you're actually holding people accountable, not just, typing mean shit. And that's why when people ask me, should I apply to Big Brother, like friends of mine, family, mostly friends, I tell them, you have to have a really real conversation with yourself about whether you think you can handle it. I don't think I can handle it. But I'm here now, so, shit. Is Quinn here? I spread hate on behalf of Cory like it's my day job. Quinn has this fucking joke. It's okay. Quinn has this fucking joke he does with me where he always pretends like I'm really close with problematic house guests. Like we'd be planning a stream and be like, yeah, I mean, you're close with Cody Nixon, right? Cory, that's your bud. Cameron Harden, like you could get him on the line. It's fucked up. And let me tell you, Quinn and I can't text anymore. We have a bad dynamic texting because both of us are trying to be the funny person. So the conversation never goes anywhere. We both just make jokes and then the other one builds on those jokes and it doesn't work. And Quinn he sends voice messages and shit. So there's fucking no competing to that shit. You are boys with Scott from BB5. That's an exception. He's reformed. Left unread, by the way. I saw him saying we should dress up as cowboys, and I was like, I'm not opening this for 2 business days. And we're about almost 1 business day done, so stay tuned. Okay. Is there any other final questions about this gross drama before we... Drama's not the right word, but you guys know what I mean. Part of it is drama. Part of it of like the Big Brother fans being weird fans is drama, but then there's the other part of it that's like the criminal activity. The next thing I want to talk about is something a little bit more lighthearted. And while we have Quinn here, I think it might be a good time to discuss. Quinn did his deep dive. Now, he did his deep dive. It was 5 hours, weak shit, let me say. And on Quinn's behalf, all these bitches who are like, how could you speak for 5 hours about this season? What could Quinn have to say? Y'all, Quinn, I texted Quinn about the deep dive. I was like, how long did you? He said 5 hours. I'm annoyed. I feel like I left stuff out. If Taryn did not have other obligations, my deep dive would have been 18 hours. Quinn's probably would have been 16. There's no shortage of things you want to talk about coming off the show. If you're like the Quinn or the Cory mold, So like, people are like, oh my God, 5 hours, get over yourself. It's like, it could have been 50 hours very easily. I feel like a big difference between Reddit and Twitter is that some people on Reddit are assholes, but they're venting on Reddit to other Redditors. On Twitter, so many people want to tag the house guests. That is an interesting distinction because there's not like house guests on Reddit. America and I check it. Joseph, I think, is on there. Kat Dunn's on there. I have 1,000 thoughts about week 1. I heard, so I was watching the premiere and I saw Quinn and Taryn talking about casting for like 10 minutes and I'm like, oh, this is never going to end. Deep dive part 2 with you and Taryn. Oh, God. Chelsea's will be as long as Chelsea wants. I think Chelsea's funny. I wonder how much of a different community member she would be if she didn't win. Because I think she won, and now she's like, I'm all in. Let's talk about the game. 8-hour deep dive. And I feel like, let's say, like, MJ cut her. If I'm Chelsea, I'm like, fuck this shit. Let me get back to my job. How long do you think Chelsea's will be? I mean, Quinn's more of a talker. But I would imagine it would be like Tiffany's, however long Tiffany's is. Yeah, like I think it's much less about how much do you have to talk about and more about who you are. And I think Chelsea's a little bit more, I don't know, is able to end her thoughts. She's a talker, yeah, maybe. My concern with Chelsea's deep dive is I'm worried she will claim she knows everything all along. Yeah, look, I think that is why I think Quinn was the correct choice to do a deep dive with, which I think basically if anyone wanted a deep dive, Taryn would say yes, is my suspicion. I haven't talked to Taryn about it. But I think it's extremely rare to find any Big Brother house guest who's willing to admit their flaws and talk about what they did wrong. I think I'm certainly in that boat, right? Of like, I think you guys know I know every mistake I made. I think with a winner like Chelsea, you can go one of two ways, where you won and you've been hyped up so much that you feel like everything you did was intentional. So there's a little bit of like hindsight bias there. Or it can go the other way of, because I won, I have no problem addressing my shortcomings because ultimately I won. You know what I mean? Like, because I won, I don't feel as bad. It doesn't hurt or bruise my ego that much that I made these mistakes. And let's be fair, Chelsea did more good than bad during the season. Like, it's not exactly, winners of the past 5 years. So, as a player, I would want to do it as therapy. It is therapy and it's not. I think Taryn does a really good job of talking about your issues, your mistakes, while not dwelling on them too much. Like, he'll ask you about them, you'll respond, maybe you'll push back a tiny bit, but usually you'll just move on to the next point. Because if this came down to Quinn, why do you fuck up all these times? Or Cory, why are you such an idiot? Like, that is not a fun experience. I think Taryn strikes a really good balance. I don't think so, Brenna. I'm sorry. I don't mean to ignore you, but I have to figure out like a way to watch it without breaking my computer, because the last one literally got me a virus. Chelsea's an athlete. I feel like she'll be honest. Look, there's no reason to assume she won't be honest till she goes on and is not honest. You know what I mean? Like, I'm optimistic. And again, I think in my heart of hearts, because she won, I think you're a lot less likely to feel, have your ego bruised by admitting your faults. It's very easy to admit your faults when you have $750,000. Yeah, but America, it doesn't let me show YouTube TV on a share screen thing, because then I would be able to just show, live TV to, like, stream, which they do not allow. So, like, it just ends up being a black screen. I experimented with this a little while ago. Taryn brought up the Leah stuff, so I think I'll bring the Cam stuff up tastefully. Yeah, it'll come up as a joke mostly. And look, like, the Cam stuff I think is more embarrassing than it is, like, an indictment on Chelsea as a person. It's just, like, you had a crush in public. Yeah, it's all yours, America. You had a crush in public, and when people have crushes, sometimes it gets embarrassing. I think that's the everything. Even the spicy tuna. But anyways, good job, Quinn. Very fun. I haven't gotten through all of it yet. Also, the last thing I'll say, to everyone being like, Quinn's playing it up for the cameras, watch that 5-hour fucking interview and tell me he's playing it up for the cameras. Watch the stream we did together. There's no character being played. You know what I mean? I'll look into that between streams, Foff. Okay. Now let's look at what I think is the coolest part of stream today. Because not going to be a super long stream. I'm going to the movies tonight with America. So, Relevant Moose, hope you're still in chat. Guy on the Reddit, he puts together a lot of these statistics. He saw who was the most talked about house guest on Big Brother 25. Ended up being, I think, Suri and then me. Not just a bit of a flex. And I thought this was a really cool project, and I wanted to spotlight it, share it. So, I'll just read the introduction. After comparing live feed discussion of 26 and 25, I thought it would be a neat little follow-up to look back even further to see what season had the most discussion around the live feeds. To do so, I compiled all the live feed discussion threads from seasons. Okay. And this is the raw number of how many comments there were per season. So just on the Reddit, how many comments were there? Now, let's talk about some flaws in this data collection process, because Moose addresses most of them. Inevitably, this is going to overrepresent strategic seasons because we're on Reddit, and that tends to be more what is talked about. Reddit has a more strategic lean, whereas Twitter obviously talks about that stuff too, but I think there's more showmance people and more drama people and stuff like that. Oh, thank you, Moose. It's fun to talk about. So, Big Brother 25 is number one with a bullet. 1.14 as opposed to 889. It's not close. Now, of course, elephant in the room, Big Brother 25 was 100 fucking days. I think BB22 was high 90s, 26, I think got to like 89, whereas a lot of these seasons are shorter. BB24, which is still up here, it was like 82 days. But he accounted for that, and instead of doing just raw amount of comments, he calculated the amount of comments per day, in which case BB25 is still number one by a mile. No, I think this is interesting. It's not that surprising to me, but I do think it's interesting. I think Big Brother 25, the strength has always been the live feeds, and so much of what's on the Reddit is like live feed discussions. And there was just so much going on. There was so much to talk about. Like, when you would go through a day of Big Brother 26, there'd usually be, and I obviously like sat there and reviewed these days because I would know I'd have to talk about these days on a live feed update, like truly dialed in. There'd be like anywhere from 3 to 6 important conversations a day. On Big Brother 25, there was maybe 3 to 5 unimportant conversations a day. Everything else was like someone gaining an incredibly important piece of information, or the target flipping, or a new alliance forming, or every minute there was something new happening. A lot of it, like, ultimately, inevitably doesn't end up mattering. But in the moment, you don't know what's going to matter and what's not going to matter. People were talking about me and Mimi day 3 thinking it was going to matter. It didn't. I guess it kind of did, but not in the way people thought. 22, I think, makes a lot of sense as well. And 24 does. So now, what do all these 3 seasons have in common? BB25, BB22, BB24. Because I think there is something that they have in common. People to hate, basically. I think there's people to hate and people to root for. Big Brother 25, there was no shortage of people to root against. Big Brother 22, the amount of Davon support on 22, I feel like has only been matched by Taylor in 24. Going against the committee and all that. And obviously anti-Christmas and shit. And then 24 goes without saying. That season was all about rooting on Taylor against, polarizing people, is a nice way of putting it. Whereas 21 just sucked, but like 19, 18, 17, 23, there was either all bad people, all fine people. There was less like polarizing cast, not like one person to root for against a house of people who suck. But 20 and 21 had that. What did 20 have? I don't think 20 had that at all. 21, I don't think there was anyone to root for was the problem. Oh my God. I was thinking, like, what is America watching out there? And I just hear myself faintly through the headphones. JC was terrible in 20. Yes, but I think the kind of terrible he was lent itself to less discussion. Like, what is there to say? Who'd you hate on BB20? Was it just JC? Because I feel like in the moment, people weren't as anti-JC until, some of the stuff started happening. But on 20, like, people weren't even, like, pulling for ffwd. Like, people were pulling for ffwd, but, like, people liked Tyler. No one, like, hated Casey or Angela. Like, they were just fine. Didn't care for Fessy. Like, I think these are on a different scale to, like, BB25. And then there's live feed discussion per day per season. This is the chart for this data. So, a little bit closer to the pack, 25. This is the median, which puts 25 and 26 more towards each other. So basically the difference there is like Big Brother 25 had so much of its discussion skewed to the first half of the game, especially the first 6 weeks, but still just the first half, that the median is going to be a lot lower because the end game was so long. From day 60 to 100, there was so little that happened. Day 55 to 100, there was not that much that happened. So that obviously drags the median down a bit. If you guys don't know, the way the median works is like you take all 100 days, you rank them 1 to 100 by how many comments there were, and then you just pick the average between 50 and 51. For any of my stats people. This chart even confused me, Moose, but I'm not good at reading these kinds of charts. The most commented other stuff. So this is data that is the most commented, like threads, discussion posts, types of things. And number one was Big Brother 25's Humiliverse fight. Oh my God. Woohoo! We win! Number one discussion subject ever? Are you kidding me? Who am I? You being number one must feel good. It was good. It did feel good until I read some of the comments and they were like, Cam's master plan has played out just as expected. Everyone's turning on each other. It's fucked up. Yeah, it's unlucky, Quinn. Number 27 was actually you and Joseph arm wrestling. I reached out to Moose specifically and he sent me the data. You were number 27. Ugh. Right there. But yeah, so I did go and read some of those comments, and I'll tell you what, there's not a better safe place for me in America than Reddit, which is, I don't know what that says about us. You being 1 and 3, the Izzy flip. Yeah, the Izzy flip was more of a group effort, but you guys know how I divide that pie chart of credit. A vast majority of it is under this roof right now, so. Top 28, and I'm not 28. That's right. So, based on the whole days, day 44, which was the Humiliverse fight, plus the Izzy eviction, plus the wall. Tell you what, no one did it like Big Brother 25 week 6. Tell you that much. And then this, I think, is a relevant moose. Work invalidated. Small grammatical error. Amira backdoored BB25. Unlikely. Mods, ban relevant moose, please. But I assume this is just the Izzy flip. That this is meant to be. But, I think that's accurate. Mike timed out relevant moose for 1 second. All right, hopefully he's learned. You got to hold your chatters accountable. It's important. You're also number 6. What's number 6? The pressure cooker continues. I was a part of number 6. I was a bigger part of the Heisem backdoor, I think. Morning or daytime, it's just, again, it's all 25. Finally, from Thursday, so the weeks in entirety, we got number 3, which is kind of surprising, but I guess the start of Big Brother All-Stars is just too exciting. It probably brought so many people back into the Big Brother community who weren't there before. Like people who hadn't been on the Reddit forever, they wanted to go see the start of this legendary season. The season ended up flopping, but look, I was there for BB22 at the start. I was on the feeds. Very exciting time. How'd they get this info? I'm sure there's, ways of automated getting the data. Ways that they have automated getting the data. Another typo in 12 to 13. Stop dragging them down. Small spelling error. Idiot. But no. Yeah, I do see it. This was the Angela HOH. Or week 5. BB26 week 5 was what? Was this deepfake HOH? Or is this the week after that? Was this T-Core HOH? T-Core HOH Tucker boot? No, Tucker made it to week 6. It was Tucker HOH. Oh, this is the wall. Oh, it's a good week. Quinn still here? But yeah, so the week ones, 25 did pretty well. 26 was right there. Basically, 26 still did respectably. I think it just did worse than you would expect based on everyone talking about it as the best new school season. Again, for me, like, my ranking, my extremely biased ranking of the seasons, I'm not, like, of these seasons, would be my favorite of all of these was 20, then 17, then for me it's 25, then it's 18, then it's 26. Very biased. Extraordinarily biased. But I'm skewed towards the strategy in the live feeds. And then after that, who cares? Like, then I'd probably have 24, 23, 19, 22. I actually kind of like 19. It's one of my guilty pleasures. BB26 overrated? I don't think it's overrated. I think it's just a tale of two, rankings. The episodes were incredible. The feeds were a little bit drier. Also, when you're ranking any of these seasons, it depends on how much you penalize a season for bad behavior. That's a big part of it. If you say, like, BB25 is invalidating because of all the misogyny, sure, I'm on board with that. But for me personally, I let it slide. No. Maybe that's why I rank it higher, because I didn't have to, like, deal with it in the real time because it was happening behind our backs for the most part. But no ways to reuse the butt kicker after that Hugh Milliverse fight. She did. Wait. There's some lore. She did. She was leaving the room because we were being called downstairs to do a rehearsal, I believe. And she walked out, and then the person came in the PA like, Suri, you still have to do the butt kicking, because I guess that was the final shot that they were using for the episode of people leaving the Hugh Milliverse. So she did have to go back and use it. It was pretty funny, though. But anyways, you guys know me. I'm a BB26 hater. Truly minted. They were messing with her? I think so. Just some more data if you want to look at it. Just Relevant Moose on Reddit. They've done a lot of these different kind of data things. Like, the average time feeds were down per day. 22 being the highest is interesting. Is this taking into account that, like, the first... I mean, this started night one feeds. I'm surprised 22 is this high. And I'm surprised 24 is one of the lowest ones. It's very interesting. Maybe 22 because it had, like, the safety suite. And the safety suite took a long time. Like, 25 and 26 were advantaged by not having a third competition. Wall yellers, yeah. Taking into account Paloma and Luke. Yeah. It's based on feeds bot Twitter, but some of their past tweets aren't there. That makes sense. I mean, you can only work with data you have. Like, doing this by hand is not reasonable. But anyways, thank you, Relevant Moose. I thought it was very interesting. BB25 stays on top. Best part about the season, no flaws. Nothing to criticize. It's my favorite part about BB25. But that is the Reddit stuff I wanted to talk about. That's basically all I had planned today. Just a quick hour. I'll sit and chat for another, like, 15, but then America and I are going to go to the movies. We're either seeing that Andrew Garfield movie or the movie that America says everyone's raving about and is going to win all the awards that I've never heard of. Lenora or something. Melona. I don't know what it is. Honora, that's the one. I'm messing with you, Moose, but it's great job. Is there anything y'all want to talk about? Big Brother, not Big Brother, Survivor, The Challenge. I'm just here to chat for a bit more. Did you watch The Substance? No, but I keep seeing weird scenes. Makes me uncomfortable. Let's talk about the meaning of life. I think the meaning of life, because all human beings are inconsequential in the grand scheme and we're such tiny specks in the ginormous scope of the universe, our purpose in life is to find fulfillment and be happy. Because we don't have any true purpose, so as long as you just make the most of it for yourself, that's all that matters. How you feeling about Sam's chances? I think he's got a deep run in him, but the path to win is tough. Because he doesn't seem to be like a slam dunk in the challenges. Thoughts on Laurel quitting last episode? She's so annoying because she quits. She didn't really quit, by the way. She lost. You know what I mean? She lost, and then she quit instead of actually just losing. But she can't even give like fans the satisfaction of like her quitting because she's like laughing and being annoying the whole time. How do you feel about the LSAT? I feel okay. I want to read an excerpt of my essay, actually, because I thought this is super funny. I tried to type in docs, and I accidentally said dicks, and now I'm... Here it is. Where's your shirt from? I think Old Navy. It's old reliable. So listen to this. That outcome was more than just compensation. It was a catalyst. I used the funds from the settlement to pursue an education that would one day allow me to stand in the position those attorneys once occupied. I knew I had a duty to reshape the role they played in my life, to become the person who would say yes to those facing the same uphill battle. Pause. Wait for this. A single hand will hardly help move the boulder, but I do know Sisyphus would greatly appreciate it. I sat down for 2 hours and wrote 4 pages of brilliance. A single hand will hardly help move a boulder, but I do know Sisyphus would greatly appreciate it. That's a fucking bar. Are you kidding me? That's a good line. So this is the final paragraph to give you guys a sense of what the essay was about. I'm gonna steal that, okay? I said, in the Big Brother house, debating Jared in the Humiliverse was horrifying, but that moment of high-stakes confrontation felt like familiar ground. After all, it wasn't the first time I had to stand up and defend my truth when the odds, and maybe a bit of the universe's humor, were against me. The aesthetic or literal humiliation that life has thrown my way hasn't broken me. It has taught me to zoom out from the situation, laugh, and then get to work. So basically, the whole premise of the essay was... I said the entirety of my personal growth can be characterized in a single word, humiliation. And then the 2 humiliating events were me losing a testicle and having my whole, surgery, malpractice stuff, and the Humiliverse fight. And I was trying to link those things together. So I have 2 jokes that I want to run by you guys because I think they're funny, but I don't know if they're too much for an LSAT essay. Generally, I don't care what you guys think because I'm going to put them anyways because I think they're funny. And if they don't think they're funny, they can fuck off. But I said, rewind 3 years. I'm not yet a niche internet micro-celebrity. I am ironically editing my personal statement for college applications. And most importantly, I have 2 testicles. That latter reminiscence was short-lived, as in December of 2019, I received a life-changing surgery to curb testicular torsion that resulted in the loss of a testicle. This is certainly humiliating, but it was not as if I were hosting a testicle showcase every other Thursday at the community center. The true humiliation resided in lawyers' continued denial to accept my case against the urologist, whose advice forced my proverbial Theodore to leave Alvin and Simon. So it's a very dense collection of humor. But my thought is like the theme of the essay is humiliation. Being able to laugh at yourself. It's kind of like the culminating theme, zooming out, laughing, and then getting to work. I think it adds to it. Why are the chipmunks in it? You read so fast. Sorry. You're going to stand out. Look, I think they read so many of these things, it's important to give them something to chew onto. Especially when, the lead into the essay is hey, I'm going to talk about the time I lost a testicle and the time I was on reality TV arguing with somebody. I think it's a pretty good hook. Since did you have to write an essay for the LSAT? It's not for the LSAT, it's for law school applications. It's like the personal statement. Are you Canadian? No, I'm not. I would love to live in Toronto, though. Big fan. You won't stop until the whole world knows you have one ball. Um, it's my fun fact. Everyone's got their fun fact. You sound Canadian? That's interesting. Anyways, do you guys see Trump won every swing state? Is there any peace that you guys can find in the fact that there was never hope? Because I think would it hurt more if it was super close? like, I don't know. For me, at least, it was like okay, it this was the way things were going to go. And the Senate and the House. I thought the House is still in the balance. No, is it officially over? I hate that most Dem senators won two in those states. I mean, it's annoying in one aspect, but it's also very lucky. Like, you don't want to give up more Senate seats because they get close to like a 60 person majority in the Senate. It's actually Jover. That means the amendments are changing. Like, or is that it's 2/3, right? So you need a bit more, but there's a lot of things you need 60 for. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, Katie. I mean, people are just uneducated, and I think like, so I tweeted about it after I got offline of the election coverage, where it's like it's so hard to say the problem is education and not come off as elitist. But like, truly, being educated doesn't make you a better person. A lot of times, it makes you more pretentious, but it does allow you to vote in your own self interest. And to be fair, when I say like get educated, a lot of that is elitist because we have a privatized education system. And even when we have like, we have a public education system, not for long, but that's still very expensive, at least relative to some people's income levels. People don't know what words like authoritarian mean. Yeah. And I think the annoying part is now like the next 4 years, Trump's entire mission is to make sure the country gets less and less educated. So it's like, that sucks. Eliminating the Department of Education anyway, so what does it matter? I don't even know what that looks like. I know he said that. I don't know what that means. Like, I know what it means, but that doesn't, like, what does that actually mean? Does he actually want to take the learning of slavery out of schools, bro? I think a lot of what, so here's my thoughts on Trump. He sucks. Um, but I actually prefer maybe like a Trump to a JD Vance being in office. And hear me out. I think Trump a lot of times is governed by public opinion because at his core he's a celebrity and he wants people to like him and to support him. Whereas JD Vance is just truly a demon who I think would make a deeply unpopular decision. So like because trans rights are in the balance, I think Trump will be a conservative, horrible person and restricts trans rights in whatever way he can. Right? Horrible, evil, despicable. He should die. But I think when it comes to things like overturning gay marriage, I think someone like JD Vance would be much more willing to do something like that because obviously, like, a ton of Republicans are not in favor of, reverting a Burgess-Hall Hodges. But Trump, I think, would be a little bit more hindered by, like, well, this is going to make everyone hate me. So I think that's the that's the difference between the two. I think Trump is a little bit more beholden to public pressure because he does care about what people think about him. Whereas others are like, fuck it, I'm going to make the country as conservative and evil as possible. Which are probably going to be like everyone in the cabinet and his vice president. And it's kind of him. But that's the little distinction I make. So I don't think like you're going to get the most conservative policy you can ever get from a president. But there's also a lot of like issues unique to Trump that maybe other Republicans wouldn't bring. Unfortunately, JD Vance will become president soon. Trump isn't going to last. No shot. I think JD Vance is not even going to run for president. Or he'll run. I don't think he'll even win the nomination. When you're Trump's VP for 4 years, he's going to end up hating you. He's going to be like the punching bag of the party, which I'm glad about because he's a very punchable person. But I absolutely believe he's not going to, like, inherit the Trump throne, the Trump legacy. Trump will get assassinated? I don't think so, but, I mean, it's more on the board for Trump than it is for most presidents. Well, I think it'd be more on the table for, like, a Hillary than for Trump. Because, like, liberals hate Trump. But conservatives also hate Hillary and are more mentally ill and have guns. That's what I agree with RBM, 100%. He's going to destroy the economy in 2028. I think a Democrat's going to win handily, but 4 years of Trump is brutal, of course. Thoughts on Jack Schloss? Shut up, Lila. How did RGV all go for Trump? Yeah, I don't think it's that surprising. I mean, like, the biggest shifting demographic this election cycle was, like, young men and Latinos. And that's a lot of the demographic in the RGV. I'm depressed about the Supreme Court. I already told y'all my logic for the Supreme Court. I think they should be allowed to pack the court. And whoever wins the president should just keep packing the court. So, like, it just becomes whoever's the president gets to control the Supreme Court. I think that's better for society than, like, having tenured judges where it's just, like, you have to win and get lucky when people die. Because, like, really the solution is just get rid of lifelong tenure. They should have terms that line up with presidential elections. So, like, each president gets a set number of, appointments. But that's never going to happen. Term limits, yeah, that'll never happen. I also want AOC to run in 28. I don't know. She feels more like a vice president, right? But you can't make her a vice president. You make her a vice president, and then it's like a Sarah Palin. The whole campaign's about her. I do think she has... Does she have wider appeal than a Bernie Sanders? I think she's more of like a populist in vibes than Bernie Sanders, so maybe she'd have a better shot. But also, she's not a white dude, so that probably hurts her. But she's not Jewish, which probably helps her. I don't know. I think the biggest advantage she has is she has the ability to build more of like a cult of personality. Where in 2028, if the economy is so bad, people are desperate for change, she can almost have like a Trump kind of effect on people, more so than Bernie. But again, like, can you find enough guys who are willing to vote for a woman? I don't know. I think we're seeing how much this country doesn't like women. That's one part of it. Like, look, I think Kamala's performance, obviously you can't separate it from the fact that she's a woman of color. Like, that's an, obviously massive part of who she is and how the election turned out. But I tweeted this, like, I think if Biden ran or Harris ran or Buttigieg ran or Gavin Newsom ran or Bernie Sanders ran, a Republican was going to win this election by a large margin because of the economy and because the ignorance of voters surrounding the economy. And there's other issues at play. I understand that. But I think, like, in general, that's the biggest indicator I look for when it comes to predicting elections. I think Bernie's right. I don't think it would have proved decisive in this election. But I do think Democrats have a problem of like, hey, let's keep going further right to get the votes instead of actually embracing policies that people support. Why are all business majors Republican in college? Because liberals like me look at business majors as fucking weird ass Republicans, and then it's like a chicken and the egg situation. Someone like Josh Shapiro would have won. Absolutely not. Josh Shapiro was terrible. I think Josh Shapiro loses Pennsylvania by a lot. Like, Pennsylvanians don't even like him. But he would have been like a Joe Biden choice. Like, he would have been, just a fucking establishment-ass Democrat who would have lost because he's a representation of the status quo. He wouldn't be as tied to Biden, but he definitely looks more like Biden. Kamala had the stink of the Biden administration on her. I don't even think Biden was I think he was an okay president. Yes, there was genocide, of course, and that invalidates his presidency for being anything other than evil. Like, I get that. But, like, considering how, like, every single president bombs the Middle East, like, let's try to judge everything else. I actually think he was an okay president. I think he did pretty well with social issues. His foreign policy was a little bit rougher, but domestically, I think he did a good job. Also, I think he did a good job staving off this recession, as long as he did. Will it lead to a longer recession? Maybe, but we'll see. And he's been more vocally progressive than any president of my lifetime, which is not that many. It's just Obama, Trump, and I guess Bush, but I wasn't really there for Bush. But he's definitely more, like, in his messaging, more progressive than Obama. Exactly, Domo. I agree. Yeah, but hey, bub, I think it's an economy thing. Like, no matter where you are in the country, you're feeling the economy get worse, and you just attribute that to the people in office currently. I think what they so here's my really negative take. When the economy is really bad, people vote for the other party because they're like, oh, it can't get worse than this. It can get worse, and it will get worse. Not just because of Trump. Like, Trump will make it much worse than it could have been or would have been, but we're not close to the bottom of this economic moment at all. Like, that'll be 2 to 3 years from now. Top law school choices. It's hard. I have like a long list, but they're mostly cities: New York, Chicago, a couple San Francisco, a couple Boston. No Providence. Nah, there's no schools. I mean, there might be like Providence Law, but Brown doesn't have a law school. Do you think it'll stay bad till the next election? What? To be clear, I don't think the economy would change that drastically depending on who's president, unless you get a truly like FDR style, you know, uh, you know, candidate that far from what is considered normal. But I would imagine the economy is going to be bad going into the next election, and then, like the economy always does, it'll rebound and then it'll get bad again, and then it'll rebound and then it'll get bad again. No LA. No. Well, I mean, San Francisco rent's insane, but so is New York. Like, New York maybe has more affordable boroughs, but LA is not a functional city for what me and America are trying to do. I think I'm applying to UCLA though, just because like, it's gotta be kind of cool. Also, what would help me about San Francisco is the schools I'm applying to there. I'd probably be able to get money towards because they're not like as demanding score wise or GPA wise. So I'd probably be overachieving in those schools. So like the money would offset a little bit. I know Chicago is brutal. Queens is somewhat affordable. I mean, you could even get places in Brooklyn that are like expensive as hell, but livable. People don't understand tariffs. The thing is, like, I can't tell if Trump's being serious about him. Like, he's been consistent that he wants tariffs, but I really don't think he wants to be unpopular. But I think he'll do them to some degree. It makes a lot of sense to put tariffs on specific products to protect certain industries. If you guys are locked in at all to what's happening with computer chips or like AI chips, that is a place where I think there is real reason to use tariffs because China and Taiwan are so far ahead of the curve developing chips that in order for the US to catch up, they need to have a way to like artificially limit supply to give like US companies, which was Intel, and now they're basically having Taiwan open factories in the US. But that is the only way to like allow the US to gain some ground in this industry that's they're predicting is going to be incredibly important with the proliferation of AI, right? So, like, in specific circumstances, tariffs have a purpose, but what Trump is suggesting is not using them in specific circumstances. He's recommending tariffing, like, all international goods from China, like everything, which all that does is raise prices. Like, that's all it does. Because the counter argument is like, okay, you raise prices on China, and maybe those products will be more expensive in the U.S. Maybe. But U.S. companies will have more of a chance to compete with those prices. But the U.S. does not lower their prices. What happens is the U.S. prices stay the same, which was more expensive than Chinese prices used to be, and the China prices go up to that amount too. So you might be more willing to buy an American product, but for the average consumer, you're still paying more money than you would have. Really what it comes down to, if you're a person who wants to buy something that's produced in America, tariffs are a good thing. But if you're a person who wants to buy a cheap thing, it's terrible for you. And of course, Christina, like, because of our labor protections, which are probably going to get weaker in the next 4 years, we can't exactly produce to the same capacity that China can. I think he's going to try to use tariffs for leverage in negotiations. It's a dangerous plan, just antagonizing the rest of the international community. Like, that's not a slam dunk negotiating tactic. Like China is not as dependent on the U.S. as they used to be. They're still dependent on us in the same way we're dependent on them, but they have some other options. He's been calling for tariffs since the 90s. Yeah, no, I think he believes in them. I think he'll do them, but my mom loves Temu. People love cheap stuff. That'll never change. How long till Trump and Elon are at each other's throats in the media and Twitter? I don't know. Ultimately, Trump being president saves Elon Musk's business, so I don't anticipate much animosity there. He's serious about tariffs, but across the board is a negotiating tactic. A trade war doesn't sound like something he would actually start on purpose. I hear you, but I can only take his policies for what he says they are. Like, I understand he has to project that it's a real policy in order for people to believe it as a marketing tactic or a negotiating tactic, but I don't know. Do you guys like the policy corner? I love talking about U.S. politics. Is Elon Musk genuinely evil? Yes. He's also lame, which is perhaps worse. Nah, Liam, we're talking politics now. I've learned so much, not going to lie. Yeah. Also, another thing I want to say is, like, people who are like, you know, fuck the U.S., I'm moving to Canada, I'm moving to this country. It's like, again, people who voted for Trump, I think, are stupid. Stupid idiots, morons. But this is happening in every country across the world. France is voting for their right-wing, populist, insane, fascist dictators. Canada is trending in that direction as well. Because the entire world is experiencing economic downturns and anticipating a recession, if not already in a recession. So people are being desperate and voting for these right-wing idiots. So it's like, you know, like, you can move out of the U.S., but you got to pick, like, a Nordic country, which has a lot of race issues. Like, every place has their problems. If you're doing it for your own peace, I understand that. You know, look, do what you want to do. Thank you. New player. Played Roblox. Love that. To anyone who doesn't know, play exclamation mark Roblox. Click on the link on mobile. Download Roblox. Play for 15 minutes. It gives me a couple $. Appreciate that. Going for another 8 days. We'll do one more dress to impress type stream. Nice one, Balloon. How does Mexico get a Jewish woman president before the U.S. gets a woman president? It was odd. When I saw that, I was surprised. Okay, I got it, chaotic. I'll look into that before next stream. I'm sorry for the I Love New York crowd. It's just, yeah, it's hard. I've not done a good job. Roblox is so back for one more stream. I'm thinking of running some sort of eviction notice or survivor thing with the fans again, But I don't think we can get enough fans to play. I think that's the problem. We would need like I think I would collaborate with some other person to do it. Just because I want to give you guys like a slightly different stream. A different type of stream. You're in? Okay. Maybe Quinn stream, maybe something like that. Has America, you been practicing? No. I've been in the law school applications dungeon. I got my 4 rec letters approved today. All my professors said yes, so today was a good day. And I wrote my whole personal statement. It was a good day for my elemental progress. Thank you, CRS Load. I appreciate it. 2 months is huge for me. How many schools are you applying? Not sure yet, but it'll be a lot. It'll be a lot. Quinn, ever tweet from your account? I tweeted it on Blue Sky. I put it on Blue Sky. It's one of my like 3 posts. It was I don't know how to go on Blue Sky. Harvard Law, here we come. Yeah. Okay, so I'm here. Here was the tweet. Or the skeet. I said this in a blunt. What are your thoughts on sociology? I love the humanities. I love them. Cory say blunt. Yeah. No, it's not a daily part of my vocabulary. Do you ever miss the BB house? Yeah. I think like what happens is as time goes on, you forget about the shitty parts and you reminisce about the good parts. But there were a lot of shitty parts too that I don't miss. And I try to remember. So like I don't have too much not FOMO, but whatever the word is. That post started a trend. Love to see it. I do like how Blue Sky is literally just the same exact UI as Twitter. Like I have to imagine this is going to get sued soon, right? Like the second it picks up any real steam, it's just going to be like shut down, right? It's like Kick. It literally is like Kick, yeah. It's been around for years. Yeah, but I assume before it never presented a real threat to Twitter. Not that it really does now. Twitter didn't invent posting yet. Yeah, okay, I hear that, but like this is definitely the same asset. This notifications thing with the bell and the 30 like it's the same assets. It's a bleat, okay. Threads is like at least its own product. Like no one uses it. I don't think you and Twitter people. What are you saying? It's open source. Interesting. So you're saying that these assets are open source, but I wonder if there's some way they can sue based on like the arrangement of the assets. The underlying technology is completely different. Yeah, but I think you can still sue for design elements, no? For like assets, like these are separate things. Like they might not be using the same algorithm. I'm sure it doesn't matter as much, but I think look, I'm Team Blue Sky, but I think Twitter would have grounds to sue, and obviously they would have the funds to sue and shut down Blue Sky if they wanted to. And that's my prediction. You guys come here for my negative predictions. The second this actually picks up and gains any momentum, Elon Musk will have it shut down, especially because he's good friends with the president. Oh, I love free speech advocates. My favorite. Oh, free speech advocates. Oh, deregulators. Welcome back, Roman Roy. Yeah. I'm gonna see if anyone's live right now that we're friends with. I don't see anybody really, so I'm gonna raid Quinn, and you guys could all follow him. Oh, Dwight's on? Never mind. All right, Dwight. What's Dwight doing? Is it Clock Tower? All right, Dwight. But I'll follow Quinn on his Twitch. He just launched it. Quinn is his Twitch? Yeah, it's on his Twitter. Fun stream. Just chatting. All right. See y'all. Sorry, I gotta actually do the raid. Bye-bye. It's not letting me actually raid Dwight, though. I think the